If you spend hours a day on Claude Code, you need to be able to use it on your phone. You're not always next to your computer. So, what I built is a way to use Claude Code wherever you are. It's free if you have a computer, and it's even better if you have a second computer that you can connect to always be running in the background. So, I'm running an emulator, and you can see I'm going to open up Telegram, and I already have Claude Code set up in multiple separate channels. And the reason for that is because I need to know different ways of communication for different parts. Same thing like people say there's different agents doing different things, is the same exact concept. I think the word agent throws people off. Literally all an agent is a separate session, separate model, or it's the same model that's running separately from whatever it is that you're doing. It has separate context, or it could have the exact same context, right? But it's probably doing a different task. So for me, I have alerts that are important. So sometimes I need to know, for example, you can see on my screen right now that I need to reorder stock. I have my morning digest, which is by far the most life-changing thing for me personally, because I have so many emails coming in. I have multiple brands I run, and to be able to just voice message my morning digest, for example, right now, you can see that I have to reorder some inventory. I have actually some, baby shower stuff that actually what I do is, because there's just too much shit happening in life, having a calendar alert is no longer enough. And what I did was I created essentially a shortcut on my phone that reads a JSON file that is in my iCloud Drive that my Mac Mini automatically posts to when I have certain things I want to be alerted about. So if I don't check my phone, I have an actual alarm. That's the best way for me to make sure that I actually do the thing that I need to do, whether it's an appointment or a baby shower. And other things are, I'm in the middle of selling my business, so I like to be able to literally get context from all my emails, right, including buyer emails and diligence emails, and literally just send a message. I'll do it together with you right now. So, for example, let's see if there's anything interesting here. So, by the way, here also I have different buttons where I know some things I don't really want to address right now. I can just click 1 day snooze, right? So I'll snooze this. It'll snooze for 1 day, okay? With Nick, I already actually replied to Nick, right? But let's talk about Mitch, okay? Mitch he's a buyer, okay? So I'm going to say, oh, of course, I can't do microphone on Mac, but I'll do this over my phone right now, and you'll see it pop up here. Draft up a message to Manel and let me review it. So once that sends, I'm going to reconnect this. Okay. Oh, got to close it. Here it is. Okay, so that's the actual message. The way I built this, and this all has to be custom built, right? So like there's no out of the box tooling for Telegram to connect to Claude Code. So little things like being able to accept voice messages, right? Or being able to, when you reply to a message, right? So like, in this case, if I right click and reply on the phone, you just hold it. It has to have that context. To get that done, everything is custom coded. And again, you could just literally copy the transcript of this YouTube and Claude Code will build it for you. But we'll do a walkthrough right now with a new channel. So, for example, let's see what it replies for a second. Actually, while it's thinking, you can see it's typing here. Let's go ahead and make a new. Let's go to bot father. So, bot father, open. Okay, I'm going to create a new bot. Let's call this YouTube bot. Okay, create bot. Let's call it Seva YouTube bot. All right. Okay, great. So I'm going to copy this. If you have one password, the best thing to do is have a separate agents vault. There's probably most password managers have this, but if you have a separate agents vault, the Claude Code can actually access the vault without you needing to be there, just through CLI. CLI means command line interface. So with the terminal, without you having to put your fingerprint or have to actually say yes, I'm going to do that right now. And I'm literally just going to say um, Telegram, YouTube, example, bot, credential. I'm going to hide this. And before we take the next step, I just want to explain how this works, right? So your phone right now doesn't have access to Claude Code, obviously, right? How this is going to work is that Telegram is going to contact the always on Mac Mini through an API request, okay? And the always on Mac Mini or again, it can be just any old computer. It doesn't have to be a Mac Mini, right? But it has Claude Code already on it, okay? And anything you send will just initiate a session on Claude Code, and it will run whatever you ask it to do, okay? Headless. So once that's done, it's going to use the same API request, but as a post, meaning, so I'm not going to get into the details of like what a get and a post is unless you want me to, but the point is it's going to reply back to your phone, okay? And there's the loop right here, okay? So let's see what we got here. All right, so here we go. Okay, great. So he has a series of questions, and we can pull those questions up, but so I like having as much context for my agents to be able to answer the right questions. I don't need context for my entire Claude for every single session because that just muddies the water. In fact, I have a separate running task every week where I look at my Claude.md for the main session every time I instantiate a session to make sure it's not just muddied up with a bunch of crap. So let's see if I can actually pull the thread here so you can see the questions that he's asking. Actually, here we go, right? So it's actually right here. Let's pull this up. Here we go. So here is the question. Let's see what she asked. Okay, here we go. Thanks again for the information. Okay. She's asking about seller financing. She's asking about inventory, asking about working capital, SDE, owner involvement, advertising. Okay, so let's look at what we replied. Exactly, seller financing. Okay. We have inventory, we have working capital. And again, I have a separate document for this agent to be able to pull all the right context. I have all the P&Ls, I have everything that you need that it needs to answer properly. Sometimes I'll still do human in the middle, human in the loop, and reply. And all I need to do right here is say, okay, send it, right? You can see right here, posting needs a logged in Chrome. Sometimes, services have MCPs or APIs. Obviously, I'm selling my business on Flippa. It doesn't have that. So I have to use Claude in Chrome, which is basically a way for Claude to control your Chrome as if it's you. Now, I'm logged out on the Mini, so I should relog back in. And one thing that's nice is I have Jump Desktop, which is a way for me to actually access the Mac Mini this way without having to go and open up the actual computer there. And look, this is actually a virtual. Okay, here we go. So let's see, am I logged in? I'm still logged in actually, so interesting. Let's see if I can actually tell it. Let's go back to, let's go back here. Oh, it doesn't say it's logged out. It's just reminding me that I have to be logged in. So I'm not going to bore you with how I'm going to reply because I want to actually review a little bit more. But the point is, let's actually set something up together, okay? I just set up a new TG bot for a YouTube tutorial. Please delete this after today. I don't need this bot. Okay. I'd like you to copy over all the settings from my Claude Code. So I have a multiple. Actually, I don't need to open this. I'll open this. I have multiple chats here, right? So I have my morning digest. I have my alerts, my ads alerts, right? So these are just kind of general alerts. These are specifically my ad alerts, my journal, This is just like a trader thing that I built, and a Claude Code right here. So Claude Code here, this Claude Code has full functionality. These alert bots, they're just, I can't actually talk to it like Claude Code, and I don't need to. Most of the time, most of my work is either through Claude Code. Also, Morning Digest also has the same full functionality, but these ones, like I mentioned, I just need alerts there. This is just for visibility. So sometimes I'm like, okay, let me see this. Great, I need to know what my profit is, okay? Or sometimes I'm like, okay, it tells me I have some fatiguing ads, right? So I'm like, okay, let's click this fatiguing ad. Let's see. It tells me what the fatiguing ad is, right? And it actually builds a successor for me, okay? And all I need to do from that point on is approve, which I already did here, right? So you can see approve, and it actually launches it for me. So let's set something up here where I say, I'd like to copy over all the settings from my Claude Code, TG bot, and use the new Seva YouTube bot with credentials in 1Password agent's vault. So that's it, pretty much. You can also paste the credentials here, but I'm just in the habit of using 1Password, and we're going to be able to see it right now. So while that's running, I want to talk about why it's better to use a separate computer rather than paying for a server. Because on a server, you have to use their API key. I think I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, where you get more juice for your dollar if you're actually using their plan rather than the API key, right? So, and everything is yours. Okay, you don't have any kind of reliable. I mean, potentially, if you have bad internet, you have more reliability issues. But if you don't, it's the same thing as having a server somewhere in the cloud by AWS or Hertz or whatever, right? So let's also look at how things work, right? So right now, and we'll do this together right now on this example bot, but because you want to get into the habit of not always just continuing a long thread, I assume you know that, right? The longer the thread, if it has unrelated topics, you're just burning tokens and also getting more hallucinations, because every single time you write a message, it has to reread all your past history, and there's no point for you to just muddy the waters of its intelligence when if you need a certain task done, start a new session, right? So if you type /new, that starts a new session, right? If you reply to a past session that you need to refer to, it's the same thing almost as if you just opening that session in Claude Code and saying, okay, I like, this is what I talked about 2 weeks ago. Let me click that and write in it, right? One more thing that I want to talk about, and that's resiliency, right? So you want to be able to make sure that the things you do don't randomly break. And if they do break, you get at least a notification, and even better if it self-heals. So something like for my business, because I have ads that are getting touched by this machine without me looking, I can't afford for it to fail silently, right? So what I do is I have essentially a fleet, which means that I do every single thing I register to the fleet, right? So that means I have my ad machine, I have my kill switch, I have my profit report, I have my morning digest, I have a watchdog based on like what are the future products I might launch. All that is being monitored through a thing called health checks, right? So there's a service called health checks. I actually don't use it. I just use my own, which it's kind of like a dead man switch, which basically I have Cloudflare set up, which is really easy if you just use the MCP that's available. You just set it up once, it's free. And it pings the server online every so, I don't know what the frequency is. And if it stops pinging, that server, because it's always online, will ping my Telegram to let me know, hey, the mini is down, right? Or if the mini is not down, but one of these actual fleet workers like kill switch, ad machine, whatever, they die, I get a notification on my linear, which is like a ClickUp it's just task management, that, hey, this is broken. And then I have a separate watcher that says anything that's broken, please self-heal, right? We all know now that if you just tell Claude Code what to do, it will fix it for you pretty much 99% of the time. You don't need to be an engineer. I learned engineering, but you literally don't need to be an engineer. You could just be dumb with it, and that's it. It's just that the more precise you are with understanding how things work, the better and faster results you will get. Let's see how far we are on Claude. Okay, here we go. So Open. By the way, one more thing that's I like doing, because there's sometimes so much for me to read because I'm doing so many sessions in parallel. I like just I have a essentially a main rule for my CLAUDE.md, which is the file that lives on every single new session that it reads. And I say, look, anything that you really need me at the bottom tell me those things in a bulleted format so I can easily understand and do a TLDR. So in this case, open up Seva YouTube bot and Telegram and send anything. Great. So we're going to open it up. Seva YouTube bot. Okay. Start. Great. Okay. Claude Code on the mini. Type or send a voice note. Full tool access, one continuous session. Voice is transcribed locally via Whisper, which is just the model that, like I mentioned, if I want to use my voice, and echoed back as heard. Okay, so you can catch mishears. Reply quote any past message to continue session it came from, earlier thread if that exact message isn't mapped. A plain message continue the latest. News a fresh session, status what's running, stop, kill the current run, and that's it. Okay, so now I have full Claude Code access anywhere I am, right? So if I have an idea, if I have a thought, all I do is I write to Claude Code in my Telegram, or in this case, I have a YouTube bot, and I'm done. This opens up an insane amount of possibilities that, you can literally be in a coffee shop and be like, hey, I have this fucking amazing idea for this app or for this feature for my SaaS. Let's build it. The next video, I'll talk about how my agents actually run my ads for me, how they scale my ads for me, how they pause my ads for me, and they touch real money. So everything in this video is a precursor to making sure that when you have these systems built, they're resilient, you can track them on your phone, and you can be as fast to respond to, fires or to events that need your eyes, like a scaling event. Everything I showed you is in the description. Copy and paste it, put it into Claude Code, say, build me this. And when it replies to you for the first time, send me a comment. And if you're in this industry, send me a DM on LinkedIn. I'm happy to chat.